Hello ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. My name is Mark Roden. In today's video, we are going to be going over the good, the bad, and the ugly on the Chevy Cobalt first generation, because technically there's two generations of the Chevy Cobalt. We don't have the second gen in America, but there is a second generation. But yeah, this is, in case you're new here, the way these good, bad, and uglies work is I go off of comments, okay? So if you want to see your car good, bad, and ugly-ized, leave a comment below. I don't like fishing for comments, but unfortunately that's the only way I'll do your car if you want to see it. But in case you're new here, the way these work is first I go over everything you need to know about the car, just basic information about the car, things like the trim levels, if it's front wheel drive, rear wheel drive, all just basic information. Then I get into what the community tends to do with them in terms of modifying them. Then I finally get into the good, the bad, and the ugly, which we'll go over when we get there because it's a whole different thing. And then at the end of the video, I tell you whether or not I think you should buy the car, depending on the current situation that you're in. Song of the day is called Always by SOB and RBE. This song has been on repeat since my high school days. I'm a 24-year-old lad. Back when I was an 18-year-old lad, though, I was listening to this song. It is that good. I love this song. I've always loved the song. It is a rap song, so if you don't like rap music, do not listen to it. But if you like rap music, go give it a shot. But without further ado, let's get right into the good, the bad, and the ugly on the Chevy Cobalt first generation. Alright, so like I said, first thing we need to talk about with the old Chevy Cobalt is just basic information about the car, things like when it was made, and you know what, that's a good place to start. The years made and the generation. It was made between the years 2004 to 2010, and it is the first generation of the Chevy Cobalt. Like I said, there is a second generation, but if you're in America, don't even bother worrying about that because we don't have them. And honestly, even if you're not in America, don't worry about it because it is hideously ugly. As for the trim levels, there are obviously a lot of trim levels. Whenever I do trim levels on this channel, though, I only go over the engines. I know that there are differences in each trim level. Some cars have like cruise control. This car will have a sunroof. This car has leather interior, while this one only has cloth. I don't go over all that stuff. I just go over the engines and stuff like that because it makes it easier, and I feel like most people only care about that anyways. So the trim levels for this car are the LS, the LT, and the LTZ, which all come with a 2.2 liter inline 4 that makes 148 horsepower. Then you have the actual ones that people care about, which is the SS, which comes with a 2.4 liter inline 4 that makes 173 horsepower. Not that much of an increase, but that's not the SS that people like. Next is the SS Supercharged, which is the one that people like, and that comes with a 2 liter supercharged inline 4 making 205 horsepower. Then in I think 2009, if I'm not mistaken, they finally came out with the SS with a turbocharger on it, which is the best one, and that one came with a 2 liter turbo inline 4 that makes 260 horsepower. Obviously that's the best option. It's the best option for tuning. It's the best option out of the gate. It's just the overall best option if you care about performance. Obviously if you don't care about performance, the LS, LT, or LTZ will be perfect for you. Even the regular SS without the supercharger, without the turbocharger on it, is also a good option for you. As for the old body styles, this car is available as a coupe or a sedan. The SS's are only available as coupes, though. There is no sedan SS. As for the drivetrains, it is front wheel drive only. No all-wheel drive, no rear-wheel drive, just a front-wheel drive car. As for the transmissions, it is available as an automatic or a manual transmission. If you're going to get it, freaking Cobalt, man, get the manual. It's going to be so much more fun, trust me. As for the price, it does range, obviously, crazily, but I would say it's anywhere from $1,000 to $7,000. Yes, I think you can find a Chevy Cobalt for like $1 grand right now. Is it going to be a great deal? Obviously not, but if you just get an LS 2004 Chevy Cobalt with like 150,000 miles on it, I'm sure you could find one for like 1K. But realistically, I think on average you're probably going to be spending around $5,000 to $7,000, especially if you want an SS, maybe even a little bit more than that if it's like an SS turbo with low miles. As for the reliability and the gas mileage, it is a decently reliable car, but it's not as good as you would think. Like a lot of people think just because it's a commuter car, it automatically means it's good. Chevy kind of has a bad reputation when it comes to reliability, unfortunately, because I'm a big Chevy guy. But yeah, they just aren't the most reliable cars out there, especially their transmissions. Just keep that in mind. But it does get a 31 miles per gallon combined, which is actually very good. So that's obviously a good thing. And again, you know, is it unreliable? It's not even, I wouldn't even call it unreliable. I would just say it's questionable in terms of its reliability. Like, it's kind of a gamble when you buy a Cobalt, like if it's going to be a reliable one or an unreliable one. It's really just up to how the previous owners have dealt with the car. All right. Now we're going to get into what the community tends to do with them. But really quick before I do that, you want to know a little cheat code? This is totally random, and I'm sorry for wasting your time, but I wanted to mention it before I forget it. If you are having trouble fixing your sleep schedule, because I have the worst sleep schedule no demand because I make YouTube videos for a living, so I have no reason to wake up early in the mornings. So what was happening was I was going to sleep at, and I'm not even joking, like you guys are going to think I'm making a fib. I was going to sleep around 7 a.m. and waking up around 3 p.m. And I was like, this has to stop. I've tried changing it hundreds of times before in the past, though, and nothing worked. I can never fix it. You want to know what I started doing? read a book about an hour before you like go up into your bed. When you go up into your bed, do not turn on your phone, and most importantly, take 2.5 milligrams of melatonin. Dude, I went from waking up at 3 p.m. to waking up at like 10 a.m. in like 3 days. It's an actual life changer. Just a random bit of Mark Roden tips and tricks if you have a bad sleep schedule, because oh my god, I actually am like so happy that I finally found a way to actually fix my sleep schedule. Either way though, what does the community tend to do with these cars? Obviously in the drifting scene, they are not seen because these cars are front-wheel drive. Front-wheel drive cars can't drift. As for the rally / off-road scene, these are also not seen here either. They're not meant for that. They're just I mean, I'm sure they can do it, you know, but people just don't do it. As for the street racing community, it's sometimes seen here, especially the turbocharged ones, because like I said, they are tuners cars. You can get more power out of them if you want to, but it's not as common as something like an SRT4 in my opinion. As for the track racing community, again, it's sometimes seen here, but not as much as in my opinion they should be. These cars handle really well. They have good horsepower. They're relatively lightweight. I think we should see more track-oriented Cobalt SSs out there in the near future, but we don't, and it makes me sad. As for the stand / show community, the guys that just build up their cars to make them look nice, and they go and park them at car meets and want everybody to look at them, probably its most popular application for sure, but again, I still think it should be seen even more in here as well. I think just overall the Chevy Cobalt is a kind of slept on car in the car community, and the people that do like the Cobalts usually don't tend to like become a part of the community, if that makes any sense. Like they don't really go out much, if that makes any sense. So we don't really see them that often. Alright, but now we're into the good, the bad, and the ugly. And the way this works, in case you're new here, is first off, I will go over the good. These are just great things about the car, things that are selling points, things that if you were going to a dealership in 2006, the Chevy dealership guy would be like, yeah, man, this is a great part about it. Then we get into the bad, which aren't actually bad things, it's just a fun play on words, but the way that the bad actually is they're more just a middle ground. If it affects you, then it affects you. If it doesn't affect you, it doesn't affect you. I say this in every single one of my good, bad, and uglies, and people still don't understand that. Like, I literally just last video with the Audi one, I put the sound in the bad, because obviously I put the sound in every single one of my bads. Spoiler alert, it's in this one as well, because sound is 100% personal opinion, and so it's 100% up to you. Some people might like it, some people might not. And of course, I got a comment of some guy being like, how could you say the sound on this car is bad? Like, I don't think the sound on the RS3 is bad. As a matter of fact, I think it's a great sounding car, but I know that there are other people out there that might think that, so I put it in the bad. Like, it's just the middle ground area. And then the ugly it's a spot where, like, yeah, those are genuine problems. They're just like, you can't deny it. They're going to be issues. But first off, let's get into the good. First thing about the good, the first thing good about this car, I should say, is the price. Like I said, you could find one of these things for literally like $2,000, dude, if you were just patient enough. Like it could be as cheap as possible. Now, obviously, the ones that you're probably thinking about, the SSs, are going to be more than that, but even those aren't that expensive, and so it's a really good price. Next is the tuning potential. This car loves to make some cheap power, man. It's a front-wheel drive 2000s car with a turbo on it. They're pretty much all like to make good power. Next is the community behind these cars. Like I said before, it's a very small community, but it's a very, very tight-knit one. I looked at, obviously, whenever I do these good, bad, and uglies, I look up forums and stuff for these cars so I can get owners' opinions on their cars. And yeah, looking at Cobalt forums is like the most wholesome thing in the world. These guys are just super nice to each other. They're a great community. The next thing for the good, but this also could be a bad, I really don't know where to put it. It's underrated. In my opinion, when I find a car that's underrated, I like that, and I think most people do. It makes it more enjoyable to build up a car that not a lot of people do, and then it makes, obviously, car guys that are like going to notice your car even more special, because they're going to be like, wow, I've never seen that before. And so I'm putting it in the good, but I can't understand how this could technically be bad, because maybe you want to like go out with a couple of like BRZ guys, for example. Like, they have a ton of BRZ guys, so they can go on BRZ cruises all the time, but a Cobalt guys, it might be harder for stuff like that. Next up for the good though is the cargo space. Apparently you can put a lot of stuff in this car. Pretty good, obviously, but not as good as like a truck or an SUV. Next up is the cup holders. Again, I mentioned this in every single one of my good, bad, and ugly, so people don't think it matters, but it does. You don't want to be driving around and not be able to put your freaking mom's coffee in your cup holders and have to drive them. Dude, I have to do that with my Integra. If I have to get my mom a coffee, I'll have to hold the coffee while like trying to shift gears. It is a nightmare. It is horrible, because cup holders are pretty much useless. So always remember, cup holders matter. And in this car, they're actually pretty good. Next is the reliability of these cars. Like I said, it's definitely questionable, but I would say overall you'd be better, you know, you'd be better off with the Cobalt SS and a lot of other sports cars. Next is the gas mileage is very good. 31 miles per gallon combined, very good. Next for the good is that they're going up in value for the SS models, especially the turbo ones. If you get a nice SS turbo Cobalt, dude, and you just like hold on to it, don't modify it, don't make it a stupid piece of crap. Just keep it nice and clean. You can make money on these cars for sure. They're going up in value, and it's going up relatively quick too. And finally, for the good, is these things are surprisingly fun to drive. Like, you don't think it looking at these cars, but apparently every single person in the forums that owns Cobalt SSs has said that these are very fun cars to drive. They're it's like they're on tracks. It's just an incredibly enjoyable experience for a car guy, which is obviously the biggest thing when it comes to car guys purchasing a car. All right, but now we are into the bad. And again, the bad aren't actually bad things. They're just things that might apply to you. First off is the sound. I said this before. This has already been spoiled. But I do this in every single one of my good, bad, and uglies. I put the sound first in the bad because obviously sound is 100% personal opinion. So here's a clip of a Cobalt SS sound. Next is the looks. Same thing with the sound. This is obviously 100% personal opinion, and this car in particular is very divisive. There have been some good, bad, and uglies where I've put the looks in the good because it's just that good. I feel like no one's going to not like it. Like, for example, the first generation Dodge Viper. How are you not going to like that? Like, it's a beautiful car. But this car is very divisive. It could be, some people could say it looks good, some people could say it looks bad. I personally, and I'm sorry to say this, Cobalt owners, but I don't like the looks of the Cobalt SS. But there are other people out there that love it, so obviously I'm putting it here. Next is the space in the cabin. I mentioned earlier that the cargo space in this car is very good, but apparently the leg room, head room stuff, elbow room stuff like that actually isn't that good for taller people, which is unfortunate. But I mean, I drive an Integra and I'm 6'1", so anything's possible. Next is, it is front wheel drive only. Obviously, some people don't mind that, but there are some people out there that are looking for rear wheel drive or maybe even all wheel drive if they live in a winter area, but this is a front wheel drive only car. Next is, pretty much all of them at this point are beat up, so going to look at these cars is going to be extremely sketchy, and I feel people underestimate that all the time. Like, 350Zs are a prime example because I love 350Zs. I look at them all the time. Every 350Z under the sun is a gamble. You have to know exactly what you're looking at or you're going to get scammed. And that is pretty much the way it is with the Cobalt SSs too. A lot of these guys are hiding problems, and if you aren't an experienced mechanic that are going to look at these, you could get scammed and buy a car that has a ton of problems that are hidden. Just be careful when going to buy one is what I'm trying to say. Next is the interior is very outdated already, unfortunately. American cars in general just kind of have a tendency to make like outdated interiors, I feel like, and that's how it is with the Cobalts. It doesn't look that good anymore. Next is the car does not have a ton of aftermarket support. This is a downside to having an underrated community, is that not a lot of companies will make parts for your car. And while it does have good aftermarket support, don't get me wrong, it's not as good as something like a Civic or a VQ or I don't know, some N50, N5X BMW or something like that. Next is the base models for these cars are just not fun at all. Obviously, base models aren't really meant to be fun for this car, and so I don't think most car guys are surprised with that revelation, but yeah, you're not going to have like a ton of fun with the base model Cobalt. Next is apparently the key and the ignition switch seem to have problems, which is so random, I feel like, but yeah, apparently the key will get stuck in the ignition a lot, and the ignition switch itself will also have problems just starting your car, which obviously is not fun if you're trying to go to work or something and your car just will not start. Next for the bad is all of the problems that come with a car being older, things like electronics and wiring going bad, rubbers going bad, seals going bad, ripped interiors, yellow headlights, cracked dashes or something, you know, just basic things that come with a car's age will obviously start to happen in this car. It's not going to be as bad as something from the 90s, obviously, because it is a late 2000s car, but they're gonna be, you know, rearing their ugly head. And finally, for the bad is the gas cap can get stuck, which can cause a check engine light. Is it the worst thing in the world? Obviously not. And honestly, gas caps are super cheap anyways, so it's really not that big a deal. But the big problem with these, I found, is that you never expect that it is the gas cap, because it doesn't say it on your freaking on your check in. When you read the codes, it doesn't say that it's the gas cap. Obviously, it'll say it's some sort of leak, like gas leak or evap leak or something like that, but it won't say like, yeah, your gas cap is bad. And so nobody ever thinks to check the gas cap, and it's so annoying. Like, I always happen. I remember back when I worked at the auto parts store, so many people came in and were like, oh, can you go read the codes? And we would read the codes, it would say it was a leak and everything, and then they'd come back like a couple days later and was like, can I get a gas cap? And we were like, that's what it was, because it was like nobody ever really expects that's what it is. But anyways, yeah, that's it for the bad. But now we're into the ugly, and like I said, ugly is actual genuine problems with the car. And first off, there's only two for this car. There's only two genuine problems, I feel like, for this car. And first off is the automatic transmission. We mentioned it like twice already. It's useless in terms of fun, and it's unreliable as hell. So really, literally, I'm trying to tell you guys, just go with the manual with these cars. Honestly, go with the manual with every car, but especially these cars. Being unreliable and also not being fun is just like not a good combo. Like, what's the point? And finally, for the ugly is the timing chain tends to go earlier than most cars, which, I mean, name me one car where replacing the timing chain on it is an easy, fun job. I mean, maybe like a Honda, I guess, but the vast majority of cars, it's just not going to be fun to do, so I'm putting it in the ugly. I guess it is, again, something where it's like, yeah, but if you find one that has a timing chain swapped out recently, then you don't got to worry about that. Sure, but that's not really like you could say that about anything, you know? You could say that about, like, the yellow headlights, too, but I'm not going to do that. Right, but my final thoughts, do I think that you should buy a Chevy Cobalt depending on the current situation that you're in? Well, if you're just a regular old Joe, an average Joe, going back and forth from work or school or whatever it may be, and you just need a daily driver, definitely I would think about the base models, but not the SS. The SS is just not for you. There's no point in you buying an SS. But for the base models, yeah, I can see it. The reliability is definitely, again, something that I would question, though. It would be hard for you to persuade me to get a Cobalt over like a Civic or a Camry, though. If I was just a regular guy looking for a car, I would recommend just sticking to the basics. Buy a Camry, buy a Civic. As for the car guys looking for a daily driver, though, you're the other way around. Stay away from the base models, get a boosted one. It's the reliability difference in the SSs and the base models isn't enough to make it to the point where you should drive around in a boring car. I think you would have a much more enjoyable time in a supercharged or turbocharged Cobalt SS. So I would recommend getting one of those if you're a car guy looking for a daily driver. As for the Sunday cruiser folks, that's just buying a car, keeping it in their garage, driving it once a week, and making sure it stays in good condition, maybe selling it 20 years from now for a bunch of money. If it's in super good condition in like a turbo SS, then yeah, that does make sense. Otherwise, just drive it, man. It's a Chevy Cobalt. Like, it can take it, have fun with it. Just have a good time with the car, man. It's not worth, in my opinion, it's not worth like doing all that for. As for the people looking for a race car or a project car, though, these are the big boys. Yes, please. I don't know if it's actually a good decision or not, but I do want to see more time attack like Cobalt SSs out there. So please, for the love of God, just do it. I don't know. Again, I don't know. I'm not going to sit here and actually say that it's a great race car, it's a great project car, or anything like that for its money. Obviously, there are probably better options out there, but there's not enough Chevy Cobalt SSs that are like race car oriented, like super cool looking. So please do. But ladies and gentlemen, that is the end of today's video. The Chevy Cobalt SS, good, bad, and ugly. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, please be sure to like, comment, and subscribe to the channel for more content just like this. Let me know what other videos you'd like to see in the comment section down below. And like I said in the intro, let me know what car you'd like to see me do a good, bad, and ugly on, because that's how I get these recommendations, folks. So if you want to see a good, bad, and ugly, I do it on the comments. Usually I do it on the comment of the most recent good, bad, and ugly video as well. So I see some people will leave comments in like a random video that I make, like a top 10 video, and be like, can you do a good, bad, and ugly on this car? And I'm like, no, I already got one listed, because we were doing the I do it off of the good, bad, and ugly comment section. I don't look at other comment sections for the next recommendations, if that makes any sense. But anyways, yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. I appreciate it. Read a book and take some melatonin gummies, and do not go on your phone if you want to fix your sleep schedule. Cheat code. Cheat code, cheat code. Literally, I'm telling you guys, XXABB, right stick, left stick, right stick, left stick, LBRB, cheat code. Okay, like, it is absolute cheat code. Go give it a shot. But anyway, the ones I'm reading, do you want to know what ones I'm reading? Because I'm really proud of myself. I haven't read a book since high school. And honestly, even in high school, when we were supposed to read books, I wouldn't read them. I would just like look up summaries online. And guess what I'm doing now? Reading The Witcher. Like, what? How in the world would I ever... if you had told me in high school that when I was 24 years old I would start reading The Witcher and enjoy it, dude, I'm on book like 3 already. I'm freaking cruising through these things. I'm loving it. I would have slapped you in the face. I would have said you're a secret agent. You're a Russian spy, because that would just not be true. But here I am. It's freaking great. It's incredible. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. I appreciate it. Das Vidanya, and have a nice night.